Well, I also saw this dumbass article that is like a full article and not a joke. You want to give it a swing?
No.
I mean, yes.
Well, of course, yeah. I don't
Period.
I don't want to even look at it. Is the Muppet movie satire? Fuck off. I don't understand the question, and I won't respond to it.
It literally opens with them watching the movie. It
Yeah.
opens with them in a theater.
Yeah.
You know, there are some people that skip the credits.
Yeah,
Credits.
You might not say his name. It's Dustin. It's Rachel's brother, Dustin. It's inappropriate.
Pathological. Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristen.
And this is So I'm Watching Yellowjackets, Season 2, Episode 8.
It chooses.
It sure does.
Yeah.
Well, shit is started, or rather, stuff, because YouTube has been back on her bull-ish. Stuff is hitting the fan.
Uh-huh.
In both timelines.
We should just get really thesaurus-y about it. Excrement is hitting the bladed wind mover.
The poo-poo.
Yeah. Lottie is not doing great. There's pee all in her blood. So like Shauna really kicked the crap out of her kidneys and she's like not doing okay. Misty is taking care of her and then also telling Mari where she can go screw. Which is honestly amazing. Mari needs to be taken down a peg.
Yeah, I would like to at least know a little bit more about her, because what I do know I don't like.
Yeah.
And in all fairness, these are extenuating circumstances, but I just, like, dropping Lottie's blood pee and then, like, rubbing your hands all over your face, your pee-pee hands, is not quite endearing me to her. I'm not sure if we were meant to think, Mari has feelings too.
No, because that's, like... I do love, too, that Misty had the audacity to call her a brat. Which I was like, I mean, Misty, you're not a brat. But Mari is...
The ways Misty is genuinely reliable, but also a direct menace to the situation
100%.
Is fascinating.
So fascinating. Okay, she hasn't been a direct menace in a while.
Okay.
She has been, but not in a while. But
the ways in which she was a direct menace a while ago, we can still feel the effects reverberating through.
Yeah, and we're gonna keep doing it too, because there's something that happened in this episode. But that also, Mari was not the only one to touch something questionable and rub her eyes, because as we've been talking about, we've been worried about Aquila and the mouse.
Have we actually talked about it a lot?
I don't think we've talked about it a lot, but we have in general been worried about her and this mouse, because someone kept saying like, well, they're gonna like fight her for that mouse. And I was like, nobody's gonna fight her for the mouse. That's not even gonna make you full. It's like, a mouse has enough calories to carry you 50 feet. Like it's nothing. But it turns out the mouse has been dead all along.
Or at least for a while. Probably all along.
I think all along.
I figured she was going to have to sacrifice it. I figured we were building to something, which they kind of already did, where they have to, like, give up something to the wilderness. I preferred this. I do like, which is something the show has done very well, is sort of surprising us with inevitable conclusions.
Yeah.
Because it was really shocking watching it.
Well, it was so interesting.
Aquila's also very level-headed. She's kind of been something to lean on from the other girls.
So I have a theory that. So they're also all still starving, and that's definitely part of it. But I also, you can get really sick from eating human flesh, and so
I'm curious.
You can. I watch Bones.
It's like with the Mad Cow, wasn't that
kind
from
of
Feeding Cow product to cows?
Maybe, yeah. So you basically you can get really sick, and it can cause like hallucinations and stuff. And so I think you have to be doing it for longer for that to happen. But since they are starving, it's like the only food they've had in weeks, and so I am kind of wondering if that is playing a part in how their psychosis is like developing or if it literally is like an actual magic thing in the woods. Because what you said about Aquila being level-headed is true, and she sincerely thinks she has a little pet mouse until Ty is like, what is that? And she's like, nothing. And she's like trying to keep it secret still. And Ty is like, no, show it to me. And she's like, you can't have him. And that's when Ty is like, that's dead. And it's just like a little mouse corpse. And it's so sad. And she tries to eat it later in the episode.
She contemplates it.
She like
she doesn't. She's not able to bring herself.
She had it up to her mouth. She tried and she couldn't do it. So
I have finally gotten a slight grasp on the other two girls. There's Melissa and Jen with a G. Jen. It's the blonde, and then Jen with a G. I sometimes confuse with Mari because they haven't gotten full-fledged characterization. But we dissolve into the wild hunt in this episode. Technically, the second time it's happened. The first time
they were
high.
High and also drunk on rotten berries, essentially, like
fermented.
Yeah.
I was a little surprised how quickly we did jump to it, but also, I mean, it is inevitable, and I don't know that dragging things out is what the show quite needs.
I do find it interesting because this appears to be when we get the beginnings of the pit situation, because they basically decide that the Queen of Hearts card.
Well, they're all in on Lottie, and I get that, and it has the evidence they are being given is pointing them in this direction.
And Coach Ben has totally just like gone off looking for.
I thought he was just exploring.
No.
You think he's like hiding?
Well, no, he was looking for what he found.
Okay.
Because everybody is still really brushing past the fact that Javi survived alone out there by himself. And so he basically was able to find because I was right. There's like a hot spring down there, and it's keeping stuff growing in the middle of winter.
It's like a Peter Pan Lost Boys.
Kind of,
underground cave.
And so he is not there to keep them from doing this. And so because they are all in on Lottie, like even Natalie is like, yeah, I'll participate. And like she participates in it. And basically they think Lottie is going to die. And so they're like, we have to give the forest something else so that we can keep Lottie.
Oh!
Yeah.
Okay, I followed it, but that connection I didn't fully make.
That's why they are drawing cards. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like essentially drawing straws. Yeah.
I feel a little bit better about it. I just didn't connect those 2 points in that way.
But that was the whole, like, it chooses thing. It's like they have to, just by doing something by chance, they're like letting the forest choose who will be killed in Lottie's place.
So they do a lottery, which I read that story in. I think I was technically old enough, but it messed with me.
Yeah, it's not great. Carrie Russell is in the TV movie.
Oh, I remember.
Dan Cortez.
And her mother is that severe woman with the blonde hair.
Is it Veronica Cartwright?
No, well, maybe. It's a Veronica Cartwright type. Hunger Games style, they all draw cards. The Queen of Hearts with the blacked out eyes that we've seen is like the victim card. Natalie pulls it. Shauna is going to
slit her throat,
ancient Rome sacrifice.
Yeah. Well, and they put Jackie's necklace on her first, which again, back to the pit.
And Natalie is kind of like, fuck this shit, and bolts.
Well,
Travis.
She's like, you're gonna look me in the eyes while you do it. So she turns around, so Shauna's looking at her with the knife against her throat, and then Travis, who has like been spared with Javi, is like, fuck this, and tackles Shauna and tells Nat to run, and then they get him up with the knife and then have them chase and have them keep him there.
And Javi finds Natalie and is trying to like save her, and he's like, I know a place where you can go, kind of where, assuming that's where he hid.
Yeah.
And they end up on that lake again.
At least a lake.
I would imagine it's the same one, because it mirrored the moose incident.
Yeah. I don't love having kept Javi alive
for this
long for this to happen, because if it had happened in the type of way where he had actually managed to get Natalie to that hot spring, because what are the chances Coach Ben tells anyone? You know, like,
we'll have to wait and see. You know, we're operating under the assumption that this is going to be the 5-season arc that the writers said they had planned. So based off that, we have 3 more seasons. And I was like, I mean, this is the place where we would start.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the end of Act 1,
you know? I also do feel that at a certain point, we're going to stop having flashbacks and it's going to be all present day.
Interesting. I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Yeah.
I will say, I really enjoy this show. I think season 2 has been slightly different than season 1. I think it's been a little bit more deliberately campy, and there we'll get to in a minute. There's stuff in here. I'm largely on the show's side, production side. I did think that this Javi scene was a little. I think the writing was okay. The filming it was a little clunky to me.
Of him falling in the...
Yeah. He was just sort of like, oh, I'm drowning. And they were oh.
You seize... that water is below freezing. All of your body functions cease. Immediately.
That wasn't fully clear to me through. Well,
I just know that because of I read The Perfect Storm.
Well, and I think that's what I mean. Where I think the plotting, I think, is sufficient. Yeah. But what was displayed, I was like, were you fighting the sun? Were you running out of daylight? It had a slapdash quality that the seams were starting to show a little bit. That's all I was gonna say.
The other thing that I find interesting is that for 3 episodes now, we have been in a place where once an episode, someone has been like, it'd be a real shame if someone died and we had to eat them. Mm-hmm. Not those physical words,
it's permeating.
It's the subtext where they kind of are like, Lottie might die.
And it was Natalie and Ben.
And then Lottie also was like, if I die, don't let me go to waste, to Misty. And then that's basically what made them decide that they couldn't eat Lottie. So it had to be someone else. So I do like that's been a through line for the last handful of episodes. And also that once Javi was drowning, they were just waiting for him to die. And I Nat kept trying, and then Misty grabbed her and was like, if you save him, they're going to come after you again. And it's not like she stopped trying, but
Misty's a great character.
Well, Misty's an amazing character, but I also just am sort of Travis finally just made peace with Natalie in this episode, and now what's gonna happen? How did they get to be such a pair with all of this crap between them? You know what I mean?
Well, we've seen.
Yeah, they were bad for each other.
And he also, we know he comes home.
Yeah.
So, there's more to happen.
Yeah.
And we know they were partying
yeah.
in their adult lives. But Misty did stop Natalie from interfering with Travis. Misty is nothing if not proactive.
That Lauren Ambrose is...
I think she's... Maybe it's because we had so much of Liv Hewson. But I think she's doing the best of
Lauren Ambrose,
mirroring. There was 3 times an episode. I'm like, that's pure Liv Hewson.
It's really good. In that
we
sense,
we do know Liv Hewson from other things too.
Yeah, and I do wonder if it's Lauren Ambrose was able to watch season 1 and put that into her, but where the other ones were acting in tandem. Okay, interesting. Yeah, she's so good. Well, they're gonna eat Javi now, and Ben did find it's a cave with a worm spring, and he's down there. There's animal bones, which I am curious if Javi did that or if there's an animal down there, a predator down there.
It's just, I agree with you. It was, if this is the end of Javi's character, his use and presence in this season was very strange.
Yeah, odd.
In present day. It's the thing that you always want in a TV show is when you get all of your characters together in a room, and we had a lot of it.
All of your fabulous, iconic female actresses, all in one room together, being amazing.
I do want to really applaud Lauren Ambrose and Simone Kessel, because last season we had this rock solid core 4. And
they slip right in.
It does not feel like hangers on.
It's amazing.
It does. I can't remember a time without them.
Yeah.
And I do love that. And, there's been a lot of talk, especially from me, because I am a sucker for a pretty face. Beauty forgives a multitude of sins. So I largely buy into. There's been a lot of talk as to what the deal is with Lottie's character.
Yeah.
The word cult leader has been thrown around a lot. Rightfully so.
Okay, she's trying to get them all to drink phenobarbital at the end. Russian phenobarbital roulette.
I think it's important to note that Lottie does believe what she's saying.
Oh, she does. She super does.
Because a lot of times people in these positions are hucksters and they're predators and they're and you know, where she might dabble in hucking and predating. Predating. I think that she is all in on this. Like, she's truly like, I was never crazy. There's nothing wrong with us. We need to let the wilderness in. And I did love, it was last week and I forgot to mention it, but I did love the vision that she had of the therapist, deer queen, whatever, when it said, can a hunt without violence feed anyone? I love that.
Yeah.
It's that goes up there with the violent delights.
Oh, for sure.
Because it puts it all into perspective in a very, you know, we have our moral human, you know, right and wrong, but that's the natural order of that's the nature of it all.
100%. And I think that also takes me into kind of like what they all are hiding, like in the present day, where they keep on being like, anyone could have found out like all the things we did. And even with the Javi thing in this episode, like obviously this becomes something that they do actively. And it turns into like a legit game, and it's very pagan. They're doing a whole thing. But like up to this point, even I'm still like, this is all understandable to me. Like, I kind of buy this, that you like, because you could even like convince yourself, well, Javi drowned. Like, he drowned and like we needed food and we were just doing whatever. And so I do love that, like, that
there's a fine line between this stuff and the, if God can lead you to it, he can lead you through it. No, they're not that far apart on the philosophy.
And so the thing for me is that, like, so far everything to me is understandable enough that I'm like, even with the season 1, episode 1, chasing the girl through the woods thing, I'm like, how much darker is this getting that they still are like, we can never talk about it, kind of, you know, like it's crazy.
Well, especially because we got a piece, a crucial and beautiful piece of information in this episode. And before I mention it, I want to mention that Jeff he's holding on by a string. He's doing amazing.
It's a high tensile string. It's got some, he's still got some grip in there.
He handled Kevin Tan really well, as best as one could be expected to handle that situation.
And the fact that he didn't punch out the other one is...
he's so good. It's so smarmy. The writers were like, you don't like Callie? We'll fix that.
Oh my God, she's like amazing. I love Callie now.
And then Jeff had a high camp dream where his wife tried to kill him with her, what is it called? Kitchen saw or whatever?
Like an electric knife.
Electric knife hands. Yeah. And these are part of me. You have to love all of me. And then she cut his head off.
Yeah, she did.
It's moments like that and I don't recall if there were a lot of those in season 1. I don't quite remember it. We've been getting more of them in season 2.
Yeah.
And they're tough. They're tough because you can go too far. And I love that the show bookended that with this scene with Jeff and Callie.
Which was amazing.
It was so grounding.
It was so good. And a couple weeks ago, we were unclear if Jeff did know everything about the forest. And everybody in the comments told us he had read her journals. So he knew everything.
Even that's an assumption. It's assuming.
No, I think he said it to her.
Okay. If he said it, then yes. But to just say he read her journals, it's like, well, we haven't read them. We don't know what she wrote in what manner. But
I do love that he knows about the baby, the wilderness baby, and he told Callie about the baby.
But this was just such an important time to have that conversation, both for the characters and for us, the audience. That's something that I have really enjoyed with the show, is the manner in which they relay information to us.
For sure. Yeah.
Because a lesser skilled storyteller might be like, well, what does it matter when we find out that he knows this information?
Well, you have to save it for the proper
precisely
moment.
And like I said, and it was so impressive and crucial in this episode because it really grounded what is a rapidly escalating tone. And I also think it's important that it was a scene that was, though it's about Shauna, it was not our girls.
Yeah.
That it was sort of reminding us that, because we have the world that they live in. We have this crazy Yellowjacket world, and just to sort of remind us that there are real people with real lives
and
that are.
And I, for a minute when it was happening,
was that clear?
yeah. For a minute when it was happening, I didn't love that Jeff was using the like baby as like an excuse for why Shauna acts the way she does, but I don't think it actually ended up coming across like that. He just was like, your mom's been through a lot of stuff, and like, because Callie was like, am I like her? Like, a murderer? And I don't think so, but she's also, I think in the way that she is like Shauna is that she is literally gonna burn the world down to protect her family.
The tenacity, yeah.
And I love that about both of them, that they are like, you don't want to know what I'll do if you come after me.
And it's a thing that I say a lot where I'm like, well, no, it's not an excuse, but it is an explanation as to how we get to some of these places.
And I do also love how ride or die Jeff is, and Callie, to be honest.
Jeff is a special character.
He is.
I do not remember if this was stated before. So if it wasn't, then it's notable that they said in this episode, he said that Jackie's dead. Like he said, she lost her best friend Jackie. Yeah. And Callie was like, obviously she's become a legendary figure.
Yeah.
Oh, they had a weird birthday for her.
They had brunch with Jackie's parents. Right. Jackie's for sure dead. Okay. Like, yeah.
You know how fan theories go and stuff. I forget sometimes what's canon and what people just propose.
Yeah.
So then that does bring us to the girls in the, what'd you call it? The therapy tent or something?
It was the sharing.
The sharing shed.
Yeah, yeah.
And which they were sitting kind of in the symbol.
Oh.
There were like
there's
two
a lot of
and
things.
two and one and one.
Well, Lottie has the symbol at the like meeting pavilion too.
Still unclear whether she knows that's there. Yeah.
I do love that everything came out. Like,
I didn't realize how many secrets there were.
Yeah, everyone now knows, all six of them know that Ty hired Jessica Roberts to look into them for opposition research. Everybody knows that Misty killed her. And now everybody knows that Shauna killed Adam.
I laughed out loud when that realization hit them, when Misty was like, I took care of it. It's what I do. And it just shows the five of them.
Yeah.
And they all have a different kind of like hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil reaction.
Incredible.
And the way Ty was just like, oh, Misty.
Yeah. Literally amazing. And
but again, I think they might need...
They absolutely need Misty. And also the fact that Misty was not the one to dispose of Adam Martin's remains is insane to me.
Seemingly to Misty as well.
And then she sent Nat to do it, who was like only vaguely invested at that moment.
Hanging on to what's left of the thread Jeff is.
On the rapidly unraveling, the other end of the unraveling rope that Jeff is holding on to.
And I just love how the tension shifted and deflated and all of that, from Shauna delivering the news that they had found Adam's body to Van putting it all together. Because, I mean, it's not, they're not subtle.
They're not subtle. They're not subtle at all. And so I just did really love that. And then Lottie essentially reading them all for filth. She was like, Misty, you killed someone. Shauna, you like put us all in, because then everybody found out that Jeff was actually the blackmailer, which was amazing. And then she didn't say it because she doesn't know, but Lottie was like, Van, you used to be so full of life and something's broken inside you. So she like, no, something's going on. And she was like, Ty, you're going crazy. You killed your dog. You
on a
almost
scale
killed your
of
wife.
1 to piece of work.
Ty has a lot of nerve passing judgment on anybody. She is the messiest one of them all.
I forgot what it was. There was a line reading of Tawny Cypress's in this thing. Well, just that whole scene, the whole thing with Misty.
Yeah.
Oh, was so good. I am sad. I am sad that we did fully lose Jessica Roberts.
Yeah.
Part of me was holding out hope that she was gonna like Superman style show up. I thought she was a fun character.
I mean, she did like hard suck down that fentanyl cigarette, so
I know. And then we did get a scene, two scenes technically, with Misty's boyfriend, Walter Tattersall.
Somebody did tell us, and it's what I assumed last week, but somebody did tell us that the Morse code was I love you backwards.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Where he's doing a puzzle, and he gets in his mansion.
A humongous puzzle, just listening to Phantom of the Opera.
No.
What was the first one?
I can't think of the name of it. Sweeney Todd. Nothing's gonna harm you.
Sure, yeah, okay.
Not while I'm around. He finds out that they found Adam's body, and then he emails, whilst this song is playing, emails the police saying he has information.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means, because that song is about Mrs. Lovett reassuring, I don't remember the boy's name, but reassuring the boy. But then she sings it the second time. The reprise is when she's trying to get him to come to her so she can kill him.
Yeah.
So deception's in the air based on the song choice alone. I just don't know which way. And then the second, where he goes, why did he get a coat? He went to the... He
was like leaving. He had a bag, not like an overnight bag, but like his satchel or whatever. And then he went to the closet and also grabbed a purple jacket. Well, purple. Maybe he's going to Lottie to try to find Misty?
That's when
Phantom.
It was Music of the Night.
Yeah.
Right? Which is a story about a genius who kidnaps the woman he's in love with and whisks her away to his well-appointed dungeon.
So I think he's going to go try to steal Misty away so she can't get in trouble then.
That's what I'm leaning towards. But again, it's like going off, this is speculation, but going off those two, I'll go ahead and say deliberate choices of Broadway.
Yeah, for sure.
I just thought that was particularly noteworthy.
Interesting. I mean, I do wonder though, because Misty seems, she could be easily taken under by a man for sure, because she's bonkers, but
I think to a point.
But she seems so ride or die for the girls, obviously. They all kind of are for each other. Like, it makes a lot of sense.
And I'm really, like, it's so funny that knowing where this came from, knowing how, toxic and unhealthy this came from, I'm like, they need to stick together. They need to...
I think I also then agree with Nat in this episode, adult Natalie in this episode, where she basically was like, the reason we're all so messed up is because we haven't talked about this. We need to talk about this. And that's when Lottie was like, or we could drink the Kool-Aid. And they all seem very resistant to that. And Lottie is trying her best to convince them, but I don't know. I'm very interested. And Misty she was like, it's interesting that you are the only one that knows which cup it is. And she was like, you can shuffle them around.
That's what I mean. I'm like, I have seen very little evidence that she is actually trying to trick them.
I don't think she's trying to trick. I'm with you. I think she believes what she's saying. And that's almost the most dangerous type of cult leader, if you believe it that hard.
Unless the magic is real,
Exactly.
Which I don't think it is. This just doesn't...
I don't know,
This doesn't feel like a hard magic show.
I still think there's somebody else out there in the forest, because even if Javi found that place, that hot spring, how was he hunting by himself? Like, how did he go?
Do you think there's like mountain people?
I don't know. But like, how did he find?
Because the symbol
how did
was
he find
on
the place. How did he hunt? How did he keep them from finding him? Because Nat and Travis were out there looking and mapping the area.
The symbol was on the tree.
Yeah, it's on tons of trees. Yeah.
So clearly, it's some form of map.
Yeah.
That modern humans, I guess modern. It could be ancient humans. When was cave painting? I have no idea.
Yeah.
Because now we're getting to like a descent place.
Well, I don't think it's that. But the other thing too is like, I don't know why I'm remembering at the very beginning with the girl in the pit scene, I feel like there were more of them than there are. I feel like there were more human people in that scene than are currently left in the cabin.
I'd have to...
but I'm not. I understand. I'm feeling that.
I feel like that can't be true, because if it were, I feel like everyone would be saying that in comments and stuff. Like, someone would have counted and been like, "Well, they were 12 girls." Yeah, and then I am curious, because this goes with what you said about how we're gonna catch up to modern day and run out of flashback stuff. I am curious because it's like, based on the timeline we're at, this continues for what, another year, roughly?
Roughly, yeah.
We have a summer and then another winter.
Yeah, I'm dicey on the actual, like, I guess it must still maybe is December right now.
I would think it was in spring because the snow had broken that one time.
No, that's just the end of a blizzard.
Okay.
It can't be because we started this season 2 months after the end of last season, which was roughly October because they had a homecoming and they like are mildly keeping track of time.
Okay.
So, because but December still works because the like for Javi falling through the ice again because most places don't freeze completely over until like January, February.
So we're not even at the worst of winter?
No. I think that's why they're gonna still devolve so much. Like maybe it's January, but yeah. Lisa and a couple of the other people did like almost sort of overhear them all talking about stuff at the like exit because Van just snatched Shauna's keys and threw them into the woods. She was like, "You can't leave," which was amazing. And I mean, Jeff is getting a lawyer, and Kevin is like,
Kevin's still a very grounded character.
Yeah,
he's a very calm, handsome, grounded force, which is a dangerous thing for a cop to be because someone like me or Jeff will
just say the truth.
will feel trusting.
Here's the other thing too, and then we can be done because this is going kind of long. But if I were Detective Matt Siracusa, I'm not sure I would be the one to volunteer to rummage through the teenage girl's bedroom.
She was recording.
She was recording, and she was like, two drawers up is my underwear, you sick perv. And that just, for me, after having been accused of sleeping with her, I maybe would have given a pass to that room.
I have to be totally honest. He is so hot.
He's so hot.
But the fact that he's such a tool specifically to Callie is unforgivable. But there wouldn't be a mustache left is all I'm saying.
Oh, man.
So I think we'll tap out there. Yeah. We have one more episode.
I'm so sad. It's not enough episodes.
And God knows if and when this will come back. Because these days, they cancel shows. Even ones that they've already renewed. So,
yeah.
Who's to say?
I'm really hoping Showtime is, like, gonna stick it out. Because I'm desperate to know.
I did forget it was Showtime.
I'm desperate to know.
And not, like, Netflix or something.
Yeah.
Because Netflix, by this point, would have already canceled it and stricken it from the record.
And so would HBO Max. They're just pulling... So is Disney. Disney's pulling stuff left and right.
I called it.
Yeah, I know.
Well, you weren't really fighting me, but I was like, this is terrible.
It's ridiculous. Also, the SAG is voting whether or not to allow a strike if necessary because they're going into negotiations too.
Yeah. Well, I was watching one of Dan Murrell's videos, and he was being so sarcastic. Like, his words were searing. And he was talking about how, like, the business angle, they figured out that they're going to focus on, you know, movies should be big, you know, tentpole events that people go to theaters for, and then television should be smaller and more manageable and come out like ... I'm like, so you're just describing the way it's worked for over 100 years. So the one good thing that will have come from this whole streaming wars debacle is getting rid of the FCC.
God, imagine. That would be so tight.
Well, I think we've kind of already done it.
Kind of, but the MPAA is still sticking around.
Yeah.
So,
but that has been probably one of the best things, because that's another thing. I'm sorry, we can go in a minute, but that's another thing is it's hilarious and adorable, and kind of, but Gen Z has discovered network TV, like The Good Doctor.
Oh God.
And it's like so earnest, and they find it cringe, which it is.
Yeah, I mean,
but
I don't know. I watched like half a season of The Good Doctor. I kind of liked it.
Oh, I know, but it's like their introduction to TV, like they didn't know that that's the way it all used to be.
Okay.
And like broad appeal.
Sure,
like,
sure.
It's been very funny. Okay, you can cut me off.
All right, that's it for this episode. We'll be back next week for the finale, and let us know what you think. Like and subscribe. Yeah. Bye.